So, what remains then is just the limit theorems, the 2 or 3 major limit theorems, and then we will be done. Okay. So, in particular we will do weak law of large numbers, strong law of large numbers, and the central limit theorem. Okay. These three are very fundamental results. Okay. So, we will do laws of large numbers, and central limit theorem. So, here we will do weak law and strong law. Okay. So, again, so these both laws of large numbers, see laws of large numbers I have said in plural because it is not one theorem. Okay. So, it is like a family of theorems. Okay. And in fact, similarly I should say central limit theorems. Okay. Because central limit it is not one theorem, it refers to a family of theorems. Okay. We will only do some very specific version of it for the of these theorems for the IID case. Okay. But these two families of theorems really are at the core of probability theory. Okay, they are very very important theorems, and in fact there is no exaggeration to say that the laws of large numbers are really the backbone of probability theory. So, if you have to choose a theorem or a family of theorems that make probability worth it, it is the law of large numbers. Okay. That is because the laws of large numbers essentially they give you an interpretation of the expected value, expectation of x as an average, okay, as an average value. Okay. So far nothing we have said about expectation of x, which is we just defined as integral x dp, it is just a number, right. At the back of your mind you may have this notion that it is some average value or something, but we have not said anything about it, right. I kept saying that so far it is just a number for you. It is the law of large numbers which gives the expected value of a random variable the operational meaning or a practical meaning as an average. Okay. So, if the law of large numbers were not true, nobody would study probability theory, right, because this whole frequentist interpretation of probability that oh if you toss a coin a million times fraction p will be heads or whatever, right. So, that is essentially because of the laws of large numbers. Okay. So, it is the law of large numbers are in fact therefore the backbone of probability theory. Without it nobody would study a theory like that and the theory would be entirely useless, right. And central limit theorems in some sense they establish the importance of the Gaussian. Okay. So, the central limit theorem basically says, or this family of central limit theorems they say that in the space of finite variance random variables the Gaussian is like an attractor. Okay. It is if you so what it says is that if you add a large number of finite variance random variables no matter what their distribution, the sum will look roughly like a Gaussian in distribution. Okay. So, in some sense the CLT establishes the Gaussian as in some sense the king of these of the as the most preeminent distribution in the finite variance world. Okay. So, that is the high level picture of things. Okay. I have not I mean that I just spoke it out, right. So, I will now put down the results more properly. Any questions at a very high level? Okay, so any questions? All right, so let us first deal with the weak law of large numbers. Okay. Let x1 x2 dot 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 be independent identically distributed random variables with expected value expectation of x which is finite. So, we are saying that the expected value exists, there are IID random variables for which the expected value exists and it is finite. Okay. Then so let Sn is equal to then Sn over n converges to expectation of x in probability. Okay. So, this so you have IID random variables with finite expected value expectation of x and you are looking at the sample average. So, you are looking at sum over I equals 1 through n xi over n. Okay. So, you have these IID realizations of this random variable and you are taking the sample average, right. You are adding the first n and dividing by n, you are just taking the statistical average of sample average of the random variables xi's, right. And the weak law of large number says that this sample average converges in probability to expectation of x, okay, in probability, okay. And it is in this sense that the law of large number says the sample average converges to the statistical average, okay. That is why this expectation of x has the interpretation as the statistical average, the average value of the random variable, okay. So, this weak law of large numbers is fairly old, okay. In fact, the first published proof of it goes back to Jacob Bernoulli and it was published posthumously after he died in the year 1713, okay. So, it is almost exactly 300 years old, okay. So, it is a old result, it is not a modern result, it is not. So, most of what we have done is modern probability theory, right, all these measures and so on. So, this predates all this by quite a bit, okay. So, if you want a more explicit statement, so it says that limit n tending to infinity probability that Sn over n minus expected x greater than epsilon equal to 0 for all epsilon greater than 0, right. So, as n becomes large, the probability of the sample average being different from the expected value goes to 0, okay, and then becomes large. So, this means that with high enough with probability very close to 1, if you just look at Sn over n, it takes value close to expectation of x, right, and this you can choose any epsilon you want, 10 power minus 6, and you will find a large enough n for which this probability goes to 0, right. For large enough n, this probability will be very close to 0, and n tends to infinity, it will be 0, okay. So, this is the weak law of large numbers. Now, maybe I should just state the strong law also, because before proving both, the strong law on the other hand is a modern result, okay. The strong law of large numbers says under exactly those, see, under these conditions this convergence is almost sure, okay. That is the only difference between weak law and strong law, okay. The only difference is here instead of IP you will write AS, okay, and under no further assumptions, okay. So, strong law subsumes the weak law, because almost sure convergence implies convergence in probability. So, one might ask why do we even bother about weak law, right. So, it is for historical reasons. I mean people figured that out 300 years ago, whereas it took all these measure theoretic machinery. So, and Borel proved a special case of it in 1909 or something, then Kolmogorov proved the general strong law, right. So, this is strong law of large numbers as we know it today is only about 100 years old, right, whereas this is about 300 years old. So, for 200 years people did not know that a stronger result is possible, and that is because they did not understand this measure theoretic tools properly, right. That came up only in the early 1900s, okay. Strong law of large numbers. If xi are same story, xi greater than or equal to 1 are IID random variables with finite mean. So, expectation of x exists and it is finite, then Sn over n converges to expectation of x almost surely or with probability 1, okay. I.e. so, okay, so it's just a minute, Xn over n converges to x. So, this is, so you are saying that this is a sequence of random variables which converges to, so you should look at this not as a constant, it is a random variable which always takes the value expectation of x, okay. This is obviously you have a sequence of random variables converging to another random variable, right, but that random variable is a constant here, okay. That is the correct way to interpret it, but this convergence is almost sure, okay. So, in order to write, so if you want to write it a little bit better, i.e. the probability of omega for which Sn of omega over n converges to expectation of x is equal to 1. Okay. So, this is a very different statement from this. We in fact know that this is a stronger statement, right. So, if you look at this is a statement about the sample paths, the samples omega, right, and this is not a statement about, I mean this is the statement saying that Sn over n is close to expectation of x for large n, that is all this is saying. But this is saying that the sequence Sn of n as a function of omega converges to expectation of x for almost all values of omega. So, with probability 1 essentially, right. So, remember, so okay, so I will help you interpret this statement a little bit, it is very important to understand this statement. So, you remember that all these xi's are living in some probability space omega fp, right. So, all these guys are living in some omega fp, right, and the moment nature picks a little omega, all these random variables xi of omega realize as real numbers, and then obviously Sn of omega over n also realizes as a sequence of real numbers. Now, the sequence of real numbers Sn of omega over n may or may not converge, first of all, right, it is just some sequence of real numbers for every omega. As you change omega, the sequence will take some other value. So, what this theorem is saying, the strong law of large numbers is saying is, you can imagine, let us say, if you like, you will have 3 buckets, okay. So, you pick an omega and you check if this sequence converges to expectation of x, okay. So, if the sequence does not converge at all, put that omega in the first bucket. If it converges, but converges to some value other than expectation of x, it could go to any other value, put it in the second bucket. If it converges to expectation of x, put it in the third bucket. You see what I mean, you are just partitioning the sample space, right, effectively. So, in some sense what you are saying is, okay, so let that those omegas, this sequence does not converge, let us say, and for those omegas the sequence converges, but not to expectation of x, and for these omegas the sequence converges to expectation of x. What the strong law of large numbers is saying is that these two have probability 0 and all the probability is here, okay. So, the moment omega realizes, with probability 1 you will get a sequence whose average value converges to expectation of x, okay, and the probability of either the sequence not converging at all, the average not converging at all, or converging to some value other than expectation of x is 0, okay. So, that is the statement of the, that is what this means, that is very different from this, you see, and we in fact know an equivalent characterization of almost shear convergence, which is also worth stating here, right. What is it, right, we did a theorem about equivalence of almost shear convergence to the excursions never happening beyond a certain m, right, that is what. So, that also it is equivalent to saying this, right. Equivalently, so you have to help me out here, I think. Probability of union, right, n greater than or equal to m, omega for which Sn over n minus expectation of x greater than epsilon is that right, or the another way of writing it is limit m tending to infinity probability that sup n greater than or equal to m Sn over n minus, so or right. I mean this union is same as this, you can write a soup here, it's the same thing. This is all true for all epsilon greater than 0. Right. So, this statement is equivalent to this statement, right, because we proved it, right, just the equivalence of almost shear convergence to this. So, again to emphasize, this says, I mean they are both exactly the same, right, either you write a soup or write a union, is the same, okay, Sn of omega. So, this says that as if you fix an m, so if you fix a large m, probability of an epsilon excursion, so if you look at the difference between the sample average and expectation of x, the difference exceeding epsilon is like an epsilon excursion at n. So, the probability of having even one epsilon excursion after m and beyond goes to 0, right, whereas this convergence probability says the probability of an epsilon excursion at n goes to 0, right. This is saying probability of an epsilon excursion m and beyond goes to 0. So, this is stronger, right, we have seen this already. So, are there any questions on these two? Did you understand the difference between these two? So, if you strong law implies the weak law, right. So, in some sense weak law is completely subsumed. So, if you prove the strong law, you prove the weak law, okay. But on the other hand, proving the weak law is much easier, which is why it was done 300 years ago, and this is much harder. This is why it was done 100 years ago, okay, because this is a measure theoretic statement, right, you are looking at a measure of all omegas where this convergence happens. Okay, great. So, I think I will stop here, yeah, I think I will stop here, good place to stop. So, next class we will have to prove these results, and then I will have one class for central limit theorem. So, I think that is just about right.